Welcome to another edition of the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and I wanted to show you another one of my projects that I've been working on. This one I picked up a couple years ago off of eBay. If you recognize it, it is a Johan 70 Javelin SST. Fairly rare model. Picked this one up unbuilt, or built up. It was a drag car, wrong motor. Interesting, it had a Ford camera motor in it. It was missing the hood, needed glass, and but most of it was there, and a couple of wheels and tires. So did some contacting with some of my friends and people out there, and one of the things I had to acquire was a hood for it, since my hood was missing, and contacted a friend, Bob Zetterman. He deals in reselling Model Haas parts, since Model Haas was already closed and gone, but they were catching up on their orders. It was too late for me to get an order in for another hood, and I was also looking for glass. And so I contacted Zetterman and let him know what I was looking for and hoping he had one. And he did not have a resin hood available that was for Model Haas, but he did have a busted up promo body. Since he deals in promos, restoring and taking care of those, he had a busted up promo body that the hood section was in good shape. And I said if I was interested, I can cut that out of the hood and use that. So this is actually from a promo, which is why it has some of the stud marks. And I removed those, filled them all in, and then added the dog legs down for the hood so that I can position it and lay it down there. And I was also looking for glass, so he helped me out, and then he had glass as well. The promo glass is just like the kit, except for it's got a little extra piece coming out of here, and it's got the loops that glue onto the bottom side of the hood since the hood is closed. But you just take your razor saw and cut that off. I still have to polish this glass. I have not done that, so it needs some work, but I was really happy to come up with the glass and the hood I needed. So I had shaved all of that, got it fitted, and now it fits the body really well. The body was painted and stickered up, and I had to dip it in purple degreaser, then strip the paint off of it. But it came out awesome. As you can see, all the emblems are there, and very, very minor body work was needed to it. One of the unique features is this wing, which is part of the Trans Am edition, which is what I'm planning to build here. The Trans Am edition, I'm doing the actual street car. It was painted red, white, and blue. I've got the white section done, which is why it's this way. The back half is blue. It's actually Matador red, Frost white, and Commodore blue. What I thought was interesting is this is the only one of all of them where the blue section is actually metallic. I'm a little surprised to see that. The 69 AMXs that were painted red, white, and blue, the blue section was a lighter blue and non-metallic. I don't really know why this one was metallic, but it is, and I will be replicating that. So one of the unique features of the Trans Am Javelin is this wing, which on the actual race cars, you tilted it up, and it was meant to be raced at the angle that they needed. Now, I had to recreate this wing, as it doesn't exist and it's not part of the model. But what I actually used, so I can remove it here, this is the wing section from the Revell 69 Baldwin Motion Camaro. It has a unique rear wing with 3 pedestals, but I had to make it longer, so I actually needed 2 of them. So I cut 2 of them. It's got a curvature that actually happens to match the trunk, and there were some indentions in the bottom side where the uprights were glued to it, and I had to remove those. So I put a piece of rod in there and pinned it, and I put a piece of brass rod on the ends here so they can pivot on my hinges. The hinges are actually just a piece of metal, just tin, real thin tin, and I had drawn on it, carved the shape I wanted. Here's another one that I was doing. Carved the shape of it and got it pretty much shaped. And so I would put 2 of them together and carve them together up against each other and then I drilled the hole. And once I had that all ready, I got it mounted to the body. You see the uprights right there. Now, I took my razor saw and I cut channels into it just inside the trunk lid, because these are mounted right to the trunk, and glued them right to the body and filled in anywhere that I didn't need to do for the line to be exposed. And came out fairly well. Really happy with the way it came out. And the wing is actually functional. On the real car, the uprights are aluminum, and there are nuts on the end, and you can loosen it and tighten it. The street cars you see, most of the time they're running the wing pretty flat, but in the race cars they turned them up here. Now ironically, Donahue didn't like the wing, so even though Trans Am required a certain number of cars made and AMC made 100 of these editions, they later came out with the Mark Donahue edition that has the completely different wing to legalize it for racing. So this car, they made 100 of them, and they were made early on. And all 100, from my research and reading, were built exactly the same. All of them had 390s, all of them had Go packages, all of them were sticks. And one thing I need to change on this or add is that they all had the little buddy seat in the center here, and which is not replicated in this model. But I plan to do that, and I've got one of the extra seats from my 71 charger, AMT charger kit. I've got a couple of those for parts kits. And I'm going to cut the seats off and use the buddy seat just in the middle, and I'll graft it and fit it in there. I still have to do that. Haven't done that yet. Just getting started on that part of it. Another thing I had to do was round up a couple more of the tires I was missing. These are some of the original tires, and I got help from my buddy Scotty. I call him Scotty. Bill Scott, or William Scott, friend in Tucson. He's got a bunch of vintage parts and cars, and he helped me out with a couple of the tires, and actually the engine. He had one from a Rambler SC and borrowed it, and I cast the air cleaner. So this is a resin copy. Actually, this is not a resin copy. This is one of the originals. But I had made molds and cast these as well. And then I also had the chrome sent out and redone. These are done through Chrome Tech, which unfortunately he shut down and retired. But he did these for me. But this one's coming along. I've also got to paint the red on the taillight lenses. Believe it or not, Johann's models, a lot of the actual red taillights, they look milky, but they're actually painted. They're molded in clear, and they're painted. So I stripped the paint off of this one, and I will repaint the stoplight red on it and get that going on it as well. Another thing I've added here is also from the 69 Camaro is this front spoiler that goes on the front. Now the kit has two squares that show up on the very front. I removed those, sanded them off, and made it flat. And it actually fits this bumper really well. And this will get painted red to replicate the real car, which the real car, this is painted red as well. So this is coming along, and in a later episode I will show you how I'm going to mask this, paint the rear section blue, and then how I'm going to mask the front and paint the front section. And hopefully there are no drawbacks, but I got to paint a lot more of the front. I got to paint the firewall and the radiator support red. The mirrors, they get painted red as well. The spoiler's red. So when it comes to painting the front red, there's a lot more parts that I do have to paint. And detail the dash out a little bit. It's got a glue mark right on the front. Kind of left that alone. And I haven't decided if I was going to fix that or not, but I left it alone for now. And this thing's coming along really well. Chassis is pretty much already done and ready to go. This is pretty much right from the kit. Didn't really do any mods to it. It's just all detailing painting the molded in exhaust and the molded in leaf springs and gas tank. Kind of a simple chassis, not very accurate as far as suspension and some of the stuff go, but it's what Johann had produced, and I'm not really going to go and re-engineer it. I got a black speck of paint right there that I need to touch up. Might be another touch up too, but haven't done anything to this particular one. Got the correct valve covers and air cleaner. Some of these kits, they had the wrong stuff, but I swapped it all out. Fan blade's not on here, but it's in the box. But that's where I'm at with this particular one. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you follow along and watch what happens with it. Thank you again.